Hey, what's up, dudes? Big news in the Kemperverse. The Kemper Profiler Player is here. Check that out. I posted this and people were telling me that can't be real. It's real. It's out now. It's on KemperAmps.com. You can check it out. I ordered two just this morning. And for years, we've been asking Kemper, please make a little player unit that we can just play profiles on our pedal board. And it looks like they gave us that plus more, because it looks like you can also play 4 effects at a time. We get access to 4 effects at a time. Now, I went and kind of scrubbed the manual. It does look like we're a little more limited in the amount of effects that we have. For example, the Kemper has, maybe 8 or 9 reverb algorithms. It looks like here we get a choice of 4 reverb algorithms. Delays, looks like 3 or 4. No Kemper drive, but there is a distortion module that was in there from before. So we get compressor, we get EQs, we get mods, not all the mods. We get delays and reverbs, not all the delays and reverbs that are in the bigger units, but we get access to all that. So this thing really is a full rig in this size, but again, it's meant to really put on a pedal board and pair with other pedals. Okay, one thing you might notice is there's no screen on this unit, which means you're going to heavily rely on the iOS Android app for editing this when you're on the go. You also can plug it USB into your computer and use Rig Manager like you can use with all the bigger units. Is that good? Is that bad? That's up to you. It reminds me a little bit of the H9. You have some controllability, but really it's meant to dial in your sounds and go from there. A lot of the controls that are on the front here really kind of, to me, hint that Kemper really does mean this to be a player. It's really meant to live with other effects. The fact that we have less effects available, it kind of, this could be your all-in-one unit. You certainly could use it that way. You could say the same thing about the HX Stomp. You can use it as an all-in-one, but it's really sort of meant to be paired with other things. You have less DSP on that unit. It looks like you have less DSP here from the way they've limited down some of the effects. So I could probably get by with this being my main delay and reverb unit in addition to my amps, but I'm going to want to put some drives, put some compressors, and why wouldn't I? If I'm not going to use anything else with this unit, I would just get a stage. And so I think it really fits a nice niche. It's the amp in a box plus. It's the little brother unit to the big unit. Not quite like Tonex or Iridium, which is just amps. This is sort of amps plus optionality to do other things. But it does look like the way they've had it on here, it's really meant to dial in your sounds and sort of leave it. Are you going to be able to remember what all these rigs are? I personally don't really have a problem with that. I actually play a Kemper stage all the time, and I'll be honest, I never really look at the screen. I know what my 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 units do. But if you're the type of person that dials in, different amps per song, different effects, you might find this a little bit cumbersome, a little bit challenging to remember everything that's sort of on here. If you're banking up and banking down and doing all that stuff, I suppose you could use a small screen as a display. But one thing that sticks out to me is this does, in a way, future-proof the unit. Kemper, I've heard criticized in the past for not having the sexiest screen on the market, and I think that's an understatement. But no screen; it'll never go out of fashion. So, kind of like the H9, you really are going to rely on that app, good or bad. Now, one question I see thrown around: does it do stereo amps? And by that, people mean does it do 1 amp on one side, 1 amp on the other? It of course does stereo effects and has stereo outs, but there's no stereo ins, and it doesn't put 1 amp on one side, 1 on the other. It functions just like the regular player. Or the regular profiler. This is sort of the player little brother unit. So it's still 1 amp at a time. So will you need 2? Well, that's up to you. I personally will not be using 2, but this does really solve a problem that I think a lot of people have had, which is they want to keep their Kempers, but they want to integrate it to a pedal board, and I think it really accomplishes that beautifully. Does it profile? I have no idea, actually. I've been scrubbing the manual. I can't really seem to figure that out. It's called the Kemper Profiler Player, so I think it profiles, or is it just a player? I'm not sure. It has the XLR, which makes me think that could be the return in, and maybe it turns the expression pedal or something like that into a direct send that you would then use to profile the unit. But I'm not sure. I haven't heard back from Kemper about that. Does it profile? I want to know in the comments down below what you think of this unit. I think the price is fair, attractive. This is $1 cheaper than an HX Stomp and seems to deliver very similar functionality. I happen to think that the Kemper units sound better than the stuff that's in the Stomp. So sue me. I would take this even if it was more money, but I don't have to pay more money for it. What do you think? Are you going to work this in? How do you think it compares to Tonex? Tonex is cheaper, but it has no effects capabilities. I personally really love Tonex, but I also like having the ability to call up different effects that I might not have on my board. For example, I may not always have a dedicated vibrato pedal on my board, but hey, I can add in a rig with vibrato here. I have it available. It's maybe not an effect that I want to take up real estate, but it's something I might use sometimes. Also great for an extra delay, an extra ambient reverb, or dialing something in on the fly. I think those are all really cool. How do you think it compares to Tonex? How do you think it compares to Iridium? What do you think of not having a screen? What do you think of the price? Let me know in the comments below. HW.